Ottawa, that walking away from the F-35 program could come at a steep price.
That offer depends on Ottawa sticking to its plan to buy Lockheed's F-35 fighter jets.
Canada's Gripen choice, or rather the idea of Canada choosing the Saab Gripen E instead of the Lockheed F-35, keeps coming up for a reason. It highlights a basic trade every small or medium power faces when it buys fighters. Do you take the biggest, most advanced, most expensive aircraft your big ally sells and accept the rules that come with it? Or do you buy something cheaper, easier to run, and fully under your own control? The Canadian decision to commit to 88 F-35s, a deal first announced as 19 billion Canadian dollars in January 2023, put that question on the table in a raw way. Stay tuned as we uncover why this decision has NATO buzzing and what it could mean next. Canada signed with Lockheed Martin for 88 jets and gave delivery timelines starting in 2026 and stretching to the early 2030s. The Gripen E is the counterpoint here. Saab built it to be light, modular, and cheap to operate. It comes with a modern AESA radar, an infrared search and track sensor, a new mission computer, and a dedicated electronic warfare suite called Arexis. Saab presents the Gripen E as a complete package: strong sensors, low operating costs, and the ability to take off from basic locations like highways or short runways. This isn't just marketing. The design choices have real impact on the ground. Standard features include the GEF 414G engine, a wide field of regard AESA radar, 10 weapon stations, and a sensor fusion cockpit. Money drives decisions. Canada's F-35 purchase grabbed headlines. The initial price for 88 jets was about 19 billion Canadian dollars, but government watchdogs warned the long-term cost will be much higher after sustainment and facilities are factored in. Independent analyses estimate lifetime support costs in the tens of billions. In the U.S., sustainment projections for the F-35 program have risen repeatedly. That's a big deal for any country that wants flexible, low-cost aviation over decades. Unit prices help for comparison, though they don't tell the whole story. Public reporting puts a Gripen E around the mid to high tens of millions per jet, roughly 85 million US dollars in recent estimates. F-35A unit costs are similar for recent lots, generally $80 to $90 million depending on the lot and what's included. At first glance, those prices look closer than many expect. The real difference appears in operating and sustainment costs. Multiple studies show the F-35's life cycle costs are far higher than lighter fighters. The Congressional Budget Office and GAO both highlight that F-35 sustainment is a global, long-term expense that keeps growing. Price isn't the only factor. There's also political and operational control. Many analysts say this is what Canada traded for the F-35. The F-35 program is run by U.S. entities within a coalition framework. That has benefits: integration with U.S. and allied systems, shared logistics, and interoperability, but it also means some technical decisions, software updates, and export controls are centralized. Every country in the program accepts a degree of dependency. Some data flows through U.S. systems, and certain maintenance or software blocks are managed centrally. For nations wanting full control over their aircraft's hardware and software, this can feel like a limit. This isn't speculation. Procurement documents and program structures show F-35 sustainment and software are heavily U.S. managed. The Gripen flips this approach. Sweden's air doctrine prioritizes autonomy. Saab and Sweden's Defense Procurement Agency designed the aircraft to be simple to maintain, easy to upgrade locally, and able to operate from basic bases or road strips. Gripen operators highlight fast turnaround times, lower crew and maintenance needs, and cheaper flight hour costs than heavier, more complex jets. Its electronic warfare suite is built into the aircraft and fully controllable by the customer. That matters if you want to adapt the jet to national doctrine or avoid routing every software change through another country. Saab's materials, along with independent commentary, show that the Arexis EW system and Raven AESA radar are heavily invested in electronic attack, protection, and sensor fusion. Exactly the kind of capabilities modern air forces value. If you're enjoying this analysis, please like the video and consider subscribing. Your support allows us to keep bringing detailed global coverage. Now back to the topic. Now let's look at capability and results. Gripen has a clear niche. It's compact, networked, and built for electronic warfare as much as raw speed or stealth. Saab has shown this in demonstrations and NATO exercises, flying Gripen alongside Typhoons, Rafales, and F-35s. That doesn't mean Gripen would beat an F-35 in every dogfight. What it does show is that Gripen can fill a distinct role. In electronic warfare and sensor manipulation, it can multiply the effectiveness of modern layered air defenses and strike packages. Allied exercises are increasingly focusing on EW as the next big challenge. Who can deny sensors, protect their own, and keep networks running? Saab and independent analysts make it clear. Gripen was designed for that environment. That has real consequences for countries with long, harsh terrain like Canada. If you need to defend northern airspace with huge distances and limited runways, a jet that can operate with minimal support from temporary strips is a huge advantage. Gripen's ability to fly from roads and short fields and its lighter logistical footprint gives you distributed survivability. Even if main bases are attacked or too far away, you can keep some air power in the fight. The F-35 offers range, sensors, and stealth, but it also brings heavier base requirements and maintenance demands. For a country where key risk zones are remote, a lighter, agile, self-sustaining jet can actually be the smarter buy. That's not theory. It's why countries that prioritize sovereignty and lower operating costs have seriously considered Gripen. Politics complicate the picture in ways money alone can't fix. The F-35 isn't just a plane for the U.S., it's a political tool. Buying it signals alignment with U.S. strategy and strengthens interoperability with NORAD and NATO. That matters to capitals that put alliance guarantees above all else. Washington's push in Canada's procurement cycle shows that clearly. Shared logistics, integrated command, and compatible systems are hard to replace. But that political glue can backfire. Domestic debates over jobs, data access, or rising costs can turn the program into a headache. Recent reports projecting Canada's F-35 costs rising by tens of billions only make that debate hotter. Industrial factors play a role too. A supplier offering local production, tech transfer, or domestic supply chains changes the calculus entirely. Saab has made public commitments to deepen industrial ties, including assembly or supplier participation. That's leverage when a buyer wants jobs and sovereign capacity, not just planes. Saab has even floated the idea of building Gripen assembly or production capacity in Canada as its output grows. Those industrial incentives carry weight for countries wanting control over repairs, upgrades, and production. From a technical standpoint, modern air combat rewards different strengths than the Cold War did. The F-35 focuses on passive stealth and sensor fusion, hide and see first. Gripen focuses on active denial and flexible operations, jam, spoof, move. Both approaches work. Which wins depends on geography, doctrine, and logistics. For Arctic patrols, distributed defense, and fast turnarounds, a cheaper, easier-to-fly jet with strong EW can make the difference. For expeditionary power projection, deep strikes, and long-range sensors, a stealthy long-range fighter fits better. The choice is as much political as technical. In Canada, that trade-off was made very public, showing exactly how strategic, geographic, and political considerations collide in procurement decisions. There is another angle: alliance risk and redundancy. NATO and NORAD are built on common platforms, shared sensors, and mutual trust. A country buying something outside the dominant logistics stream takes on interoperability headaches, different spare parts, software standards, and training pipelines. Those are solvable, but they cost money and planning. The counter-argument is that redundancy is healthy. Too much dependence on one partner creates systemic risk. Buying Gripen could have given Canada an independent option for some missions while still allowing joint operations elsewhere. That kind of mixed fleet thinking is increasingly discussed. Buy a small number of advanced Allied standard jets for integrated missions and a larger number of cheaper, sovereign-controlled jets for homeland defense and distributed operations. Some analysts now argue that mixed fleets can balance sovereignty and alliance needs if the procurement and sustainment plans are smart. Recent public debate in Ottawa has reflected exactly that tension. What about raw numbers on operating costs? They're messy and heavily contested. Older studies often quoted Gripen operating hours as dramatically cheaper than legacy big fighters. More recent work that accounts for the new electronics and sensor suites puts a higher figure on Gripen's flight hour cost, and some industry studies put similar numbers for advanced light fighters versus heavy stealth jets. The big point is not a single number, it is this. Lighter jets typically have lower maintenance footprints, simpler logistics, and smaller crews. Over decades, that adds up to very real savings. If a government's budget assumptions were based only on acquisition price, it may later find sustainment drives the total cost well above what was planned. That's the trap critics point to in the Canadian F35 debate. The electronic warfare angle deserves one last pass because this is where Gripen's real value shows up. Saab invested in offensive and defensive EW pieces that let the plane degrade enemy sensors, spoof radars, and protect friendly assets. That capability is increasingly central. Modern conflicts start by trying to blind or corrupt the opponent's sensors. An aircraft that can do that while staying cheap to operate is valuable. NATO is pushing to build more European EW capability precisely because reliance on non-European EW assets creates strategic and operational bottlenecks. Sweden's Gripen, paired with Allied EW assets, can give a smaller country a credible punch, especially in contested European airspace. Those developments explain why analysts in Europe began to look at Gripen more seriously in the last exercise cycles. So what does Canada's decision mean next, in practical terms? First, expect more talk about mixed fleets. Governments now see that buying one type to satisfy every mission is expensive and sometimes unnecessary. Second, expect stronger demands for industrial offsets and local work. Suppliers who offer real transfer, not just token contracts, will find new openings. Saab's outreach on possible local assembly shows how quickly procurement debates can shift when industrial benefits are in play. Third, don't be surprised if NATO and NORAD discussions become more explicit about what interoperability requires. Countries will push to define mission sets where independent jets can operate and where Allied standard jets are required. That kind of role-based procurement could become the new normal. There are also second-order effects. If more nations buy lighter, cheaper fighters with strong EW capabilities, the market for niche, European-built systems will grow. That could spur more European collaboration on EW, data links, and distributed air defense. It may also force big prime contractors to rethink how they sell aircraft. Heavier focus on sustainment transparency, flexible software access, and clearer industrial ties. Finally, pay attention to the training and doctrine changes. Aircraft are not just hardware. They are part of a system that includes sensors, data links, AWACS, and ground support. Nations that choose Gripen-style aircraft must invest in EW training, distributed logistics, and rapid repair hubs. If they do that, the payoff is operational independence. If they do not, the plane's advantages will be muted. What do you think? Did Canada make the right call, or did they miss an opportunity for independence? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button if you learned something new, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the world of aviation and defense.